Hello everyone and welcome back to another Beerlay Beer Review. Today we're going to be reviewing this guy from the Sailor's Grave Brewing Company out of southeastern Australia. Let's get it open and then I'll talk about it because it's kind of a weird beer. So yeah, here it is. So by the way, I didn't say the name at the beginning because I couldn't really remember it, but it was the Peach Melba Pavlova Cream Sour. It doesn't really quite roll off the tongue. Let's take a look at this beer. I'm just gonna call it the beer. It's not super appetizing looking. It does have a slight hint of the color vomit. It is quite uncarbonated, or at least there isn't much of a head going on it. Whereas I was pouring it out, it was reminding me of this multivitamin juice, you know, kind of like that breakfast juice looking stuff. In terms of smell, it actually smells quite nice. I'm getting like vanilla ice cream and some like berries. And just like a very nice, fruity, refreshing kind of a smell. A little bit of a funk in there. I'm guessing that's probably because of maybe a little of a Brett that was used. Definitely smells quite a bit better than it looks. Let's try it out though, why don't we? I think the best part about this beer is the aroma. It's not a bad tasting beer. I think you do gotta kind of get used to it. It's very like fizzy, even though there's not any head retention whatsoever. Like when you put it in your mouth and you kind of roll it around your tongue, you just get these like little tiny champagne bubbles that are just kind of, it's almost like pop rocks, just like popping all over your tongue. There's kind of like a weird, funky grape kind of a flavor going on. It's not super sour. It is quite refreshing. It's really light, really easy drinking. I can understand why this might be a good summer beer, and I'll get to the kind of the style of the beer in just a second. But it's still trying to decide if I like it or not. And maybe as I get to, learn a little bit more about the beer, maybe I'll kind of warm up to it. But in the meantime, let's talk about the brewery a little bit and the history and this beer in it. Yeah. So as I mentioned in the intro, this is a beer from Orbost, which is a small little town in the southeastern part of Australia known as the Gippsland. But the Gippsland is like the southeast corner of Victoria, which is the southeast part of Australia. And it's a really nice area, a lot of hills, a lot of wilderness, a lot of trees, a lot of beaches, a lot of coastal area, and just these small towns where there's not really a lot going on, but there's still just this like really easy, chill kind of lifestyle. So Orbost is actually located on the Snowy River. I don't know if I've mentioned this in previous videos before, but Australia has some of the best names for stuff. The Snowy River, of course, is fed by the snowmelt from the Snowy Mountains, and you can imagine what's atop those mountains. Snowy Mountains are the tallest mountain range in Australia, where Mount Kosciuszko, the tallest peak in Australia, sits at. And yes, there's actually snowy peaks in Australia. It's not just desert and outback and hot, warm, sunny beaches. But a really cool part of Australia nonetheless. And the brewery, Sailor's Grave, is located right where this river kind of meets the ocean. So you get the bush or the wilderness kind of a little bit, you get the coastal kind of regions, you get the mountains and hills a little bit. So there's a lot of stuff kind of going on, a lot of farming, and this brewery really kind of takes in its environment and incorporates that into their beers. So they use a lot of botanicals, a lot of fruits, a lot of grains from the area, even things from the sea like actual seawater or seaweed or sea life, and they put those into their beer as well. So as you can imagine, these guys brew some pretty funky beers. They do have 4 core beers that they brew year round, and looking at their website, just in the last 3 months, they have about over 20 seasonal beers. So they're constantly brewing a lot of weird stuff as well. Like I said, they're just throwing kind of a bunch of everything that they have around the area, which is kind of making these kind of weird, funky beers. They do a lot of sours, a lot of farmhouse ales, a lot of stuff with fruit, a lot of gozas, so you get a lot of herbs and spices in these beers as well. I wonder with this beer if maybe they went a little bit too much in terms of the weird funkiness and fruitiness of it. Like I said, it's there's like this weird kind of bitter sour, just like the back of the tongue. That's just kind of doing me weird. I'm not really a huge fan of it quite yet. But this beer here, in fact, the what is it called again? Can't even remember. The Peach Melba Pavlova Cream Sour. It's pretty much inspired off of 2 Australian traditional desserts, and it's also brewed to be a light, refreshing Christmas beer. Again, you kind of got to switch the hemispheres. Christmas is in the summer down there, where I digress. I don't know if I would necessarily agree with that. I don't really see this as like a super refreshing, crushable, sessionable beer. You can get through it by kind of sipping at it. It's not that strong. I think, what are we talking about here? We're only at 4.5%, which is pretty typical for a lot of Australian beers, but it's not a super crushable summer beer, I would say. It's a nice sippable beer. Again, the aroma is probably the best aspect of this beer, unfortunately. I think that the flavors are just kind of almost clashing with each other. I think that like the creaminess from the lactose is combating with like the sour, like the acidity of the fruits. It's just kind of a weird mix, which is, I was hoping for better. I was expecting this to be just like a super fruity fruit bomb with some nice subtle sourness to it, but it's definitely not that. One thing I do like about this brewery though is the can art. All of the Sailor's Grave Brewing cans have some kind of hand-drawn design on them. I think I done gone forget to tell you guys what is in this beer anyway. So it's a cream sour brewed with peaches, raspberries, vanilla, and lactose in honor of 2 iconic summer desserts. Yeah, so I think, like I said, I think the lactose and the vanilla is combating, like the sweetness of the lactose and the vanilla is just combating with the acidity of the raspberries and peaches. Again, I'm not exactly sure. I don't know if it's just a bad recipe or if it's a bad brew, or maybe this can has just gotten a little bit too old. It's a good part of 5 months old from time I purchased it. But usually, especially with sour beers, that's not really a big problem. I don't know. I'm just very confused by this beer. I don't want to trash it because it's like I've had badly brewed beers. I just think that maybe the recipe is wrong on this. I don't know if this is exactly what the brewer was going for. Maybe he's just trying to save this. I'm not really sure. If you're looking for something weird, funky, different, give it a shot. And usually I like weird, funky, different beers, but this one's just not sitting well with me. I don't know what it is. Oh, I guess I'm coming down to the end of this guy. It's taking a little bit longer than maybe I wanted to. And that was, again, names, man. The Peach Melba Pavlova Cream Sour from Sailor's Grave Brewing Company. Like I said, I don't know. It's kind of a weird beer. Usually I like weird, funky beers. Sometimes it's hit or miss though, and I think this one was unfortunately a little bit of a miss. I want to thank you guys anyway for watching this video, and for those Americans out there, don't forget to write your congressman or woman and tell them you support communist gun control legislation. And yeah, give it a thumbs up if you like this review. Comment down below what you guys think, and we'll see you guys next time on Belay. Cheers.